Story 1. The Road That Breathes. The asphalt was expanding and contracting beneath my wheels like lung tissue, and I could feel my truck being digested. Michael Garrett, that's me, 34 years old, hauling refrigerated pharmaceuticals for McElroy Transport, westbound on State Route 375 in Nevada at 2:47 a.m. on August 9th, 2023. The road had been normal 5 minutes ago. Standard 2-lane blacktop cutting through empty desert. Then I felt it, a rhythm beneath my tires. Slow, steady, breathing. The white lines weren't painted anymore. They were veins, pulsing, and the asphalt was warm. I could feel heat radiating up through the floorboard. Living heat, body heat. I'd been driving for 11 hours straight from Salt Lake City to Las Vegas with a load of insulin and chemotherapy drugs worth $470,000. Time-sensitive cargo. Temperature-controlled. If I missed my delivery window, people died. But the road was changing, becoming something else, something organic. I watched the surface ripple ahead of me like water, except it wasn't water. It was flesh. Road-colored flesh that my tires sank into slightly with each rotation. Not stuck, more like pressing into someone's stomach, yielding, resilient, alive. My speedometer showed 63 miles per hour, but I was slowing down. The road's breathing was getting deeper, slower. Each exhale made the surface soften. Each inhale made it contract and harden. My truck rose and fell with the rhythm. Gentle at first, then more pronounced. I was riding the breath of something massive beneath me. Something that stretched for miles. Something that had replaced State Route 375 while I wasn't paying attention. The temperature gauge for my reefer unit climbed. 72 degrees inside the trailer. Should be 34. The pharmaceuticals were warming, spoiling, but I couldn't stop. Couldn't pull over. There was no shoulder anymore, just flesh extending into darkness on both sides. Red flesh, glistening, wet. The road had become the interior of something's throat. I tried my CB radio. Anyone on Route 375, you got a copy? Road conditions are... Something's wrong with the road. Static. Then a sound that wasn't static. Breathing. The same rhythm I felt beneath my wheels. Something was breathing through my radio, into my cab. Hot breath that smelled like decay and stomach acid. I turned off the CB. The breathing continued. Coming from everywhere, the vents, the seats, the steering wheel, the entire truck was inside something, being swallowed. My headlights illuminated what I thought was the road ahead. But it wasn't road, it was a tunnel. Organic, ribbed. The walls were contracting rhythmically, squeezing, pushing everything forward. Peristalsis. I was in an esophagus, a throat, being pushed toward a stomach, and I couldn't turn around because when I checked my mirrors, the tunnel had closed behind me, sealed. No exit. The ribbed walls were getting closer, tighter. My truck barely fit. Metal scraped against flesh. I heard it tearing. Heard fluids dripping onto my trailer. Digestive fluids, acidic. I could smell it, sharp, chemical, burning. My paint was bubbling, melting. The aluminum sides of my trailer were being dissolved. I accelerated, pushed the engine to 75, 80, trying to outrun the contraction. But the throat was contracting faster than I could drive. The walls pressed against my trailer, squeezed. I heard metal groaning, rivets popping. My cargo was worth $470,000. My truck was worth $180,000. But none of that mattered because I was about to be crushed inside something's digestive system. The tunnel opened suddenly into a vast cavity. A stomach. I could see it in my headlights. Acres of undulating flesh, pools of bubbling fluid, half-dissolved objects floating in the acid. Other trucks, dozens of them, in various states of decomposition. A 1970s Kenworth reduced to its frame. A modern freight liner with its cab mostly intact but its trailer dissolved to nothing. A swift transportation truck with the driver still visible in the cab, or what remained of the driver. Just bones, sitting upright, hands on the wheel. My truck splashed into the fluid, shallow at first, 6 inches, a foot. The acid hissed against my tires. I felt the truck settling, sinking. The fluid was thicker than water, viscous. It grabbed at my wheels, tried to pull me down. I kept driving, pushing through the stomach, looking for an exit. Had to be an exit. Intestines, a way through and out. The pharmaceutical cargo was ruined now. The reefer unit had failed completely. Temperature inside the trailer was 98 degrees, body temperature. The insulin was breaking down. The chemotherapy drugs were denaturing. $470,000 of medicine becoming useless while I drove through a biological nightmare. I saw movement in the stomach fluid. Something large circulating beneath the surface. Not debris. Something alive. Something that lived here. In this stomach. This creature that had disguised itself as State Route 375 and swallowed traffic. Something that cleaned up the remains. Processed what the stomach couldn't fully digest. It surfaced near my truck. I caught a glimpse. Pale, segmented, eyeless, like a massive intestinal parasite, 30 feet long, thick as a car. It rolled in the fluid, investigating my truck, tasting it, deciding if I was food. I pushed the accelerator to the floor. The truck lurched forward through the acid. The parasite followed. Fast, agile, it wrapped around my trailer, squeezed. I heard the walls of my trailer collapsing inward. The pharmaceuticals, hundreds of vials, thousands of pills spilling into the stomach acid, dissolving, wasted. Then I saw it, an opening in the far wall, smaller than the throat I'd entered through, but an opening, an intestine, a way forward, maybe a way out. I aimed for it. The parasite was still attached to my trailer, but the trailer was mostly destroyed anyway. I'd lose the cargo, lose the trailer, but maybe save myself. I drove straight toward the intestine opening. It was small, too small. My truck wouldn't fit. But I had no choice. I hit it at 40 miles per hour. My trailer tore away. The parasite took it, pulled it back into the stomach fluid. I drove on, my cab scraping through the intestinal opening, metal screeching against flesh. The walls contracted around me, crushed inward. My windows shattered, my mirrors ripped off. My sleeper berth compressed. I was in the intestines now, a narrow tunnel that twisted and compressed and pushed me forward whether I accelerated or not. The walls squeezed rhythmically, forcing me along. I couldn't steer, couldn't brake, just carried forward through kilometers of digestive tract. The smell was overwhelming, methane, rot, bile. I vomited, couldn't help it. The air was toxic. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt distorted in the crushing darkness, the intestinal walls rhythmically squeezing, releasing, squeezing, releasing. My cab was being compressed smaller with each contraction. The roof pressed down on my head, the sides pressed against my shoulders. Soon I'd be crushed completely, digested, reduced to components. Then I saw light. Ahead, an opening, an anus, an exit. The intestine contracted hard, a final push, and expelled me. My crushed cab shot out onto normal highway, State Route 375, regular asphalt, cool night air, stars overhead. I was out. I stopped, climbed from my destroyed cab, looked back. Just road, normal road. No opening, no organism, just Nevada desert and empty highway. My trailer was gone, my cargo was gone, my truck was crushed into a shape barely recognizable as a vehicle. I called McElroy Transport, tried to explain, said I'd been swallowed by the road, said Route 375 was a living creature, said my cargo was lost in a biological stomach. They thought I was having a breakdown. Psychotic episode. They fired me, sued me for the lost pharmaceuticals, $470,000. My insurance wouldn't cover it. Act of God, they called it. Though it wasn't God. I don't drive anymore, can't. Can't trust roads, can't trust that asphalt is actually asphalt and not flesh. Can't trust that I'm driving on infrastructure and not inside something waiting to digest me. I take buses now, trains, anything where someone else is responsible for navigating the roads. But sometimes I wonder about the other drivers, the ones who take Route 375, the ones who drive it late at night when the road gets hungry. How many trucks are in that stomach now? How many drivers have been digested? How many more will be swallowed before someone believes me? The road breathes. The road eats. The road is alive. And somewhere in Nevada, it's waiting for the next truck, the next meal, the next driver stupid enough to think asphalt is just asphalt. I felt it breathing beneath my wheels. I felt it swallowing me. I survived only because I made it through the entire digestive system before being completely broken down. Next driver might not be so lucky. Next driver might dissolve in the stomach, might be torn apart by the parasite, might get stuck in the intestines and crushed to nothing. The road breathes, and it's always hungry. And State Route 375 is waiting, always waiting, for trucks, for cargo, for drivers. Don't drive Route 375 at night. Don't trust the asphalt. Don't think you're safe just because it looks like road. Because roads aren't always roads. Sometimes they're throats. Sometimes they're digestive systems. Sometimes they're living creatures that have learned to disguise themselves as infrastructure. And sometimes they breathe and swallow and digest and shit out the remains onto normal highway where other drivers find crushed cabs and wonder what happened. Wonder how a truck got destroyed so completely. Wonder what could crush metal like that. I know what. I felt what. I survived what. And I'll never drive again. Never trust pavement again. Never forget the feeling of being swallowed by something massive and hungry and patient, something that's been feeding on trucks for decades. Something that will keep feeding forever. The road breathes, and eventually it will breathe for you too. And you'll feel your truck sinking into warm flesh, and you'll smell the stomach acid, and you'll see the other trucks dissolving, and you'll know too late that roads aren't always what they seem. Michael Garrett, 34 years old, former trucker, survivor of the road that breathes, $470,000 in debt for cargo lost inside a creature that shouldn't exist. But it does exist, on State Route 375 in Nevada, waiting, breathing, hungry, always hungry, and it will swallow you too if you drive it at 2:47 a.m. on the wrong night. The road breathes. Remember that. The road breathes, and breaths are always followed by swallowing. Story 2. The dispatcher who calls from your future. My phone rang with a call from dispatch, but when I answered, the voice said, "Michael, this is dispatch calling about your accident at mile marker 317. Emergency services are en route to your location. Don't move from the wreckage." Except I was at mile marker 283 and there was no accident. Angela Morrison, 41 years old, driving for Covenant Transport for 9 years. Hauling automotive parts from Detroit to Memphis on I-40. September 15, 2023, 7:33 p.m. The call came through my company cell. Dispatch's number, standard protocol, but the message was wrong. I wasn't at 317. I wasn't in an accident. I was fine. "This is Morrison. I think you have the wrong driver. I'm not at 317. I'm at 283 westbound. No problems." "Angela, we can see your location, mile marker 317. Your truck left the roadway at 8:14 p.m., rolled 3 times. You're trapped in the cab. Stay calm. Help is 7 minutes out." I looked at my clock. 7:33 p.m. "It's not 8:14. It's 7:33, and I'm fine. I'm driving normally. No accident." Silence. Then, "Angela, what's your current time?" 7:33 p.m., September 15th. "Our systems show 8:14 p.m. You're 41 minutes ahead of your reported time, and our GPS shows you at mile marker 317 in a ditch on the south side of the highway." I checked my GPS. Mile marker 283. Northbound lane. driving 68 miles per hour, everything normal. Your systems are wrong. I'm at 283, moving, no accident. Stand by. Muffled conversation, then a different voice. Ms. Morrison, this is Safety Director Chen. We're showing conflicting data. Our tracking shows you crashed at 3:17 at 8:14 p.m. But your phone's GPS shows you at 283 at 7:33 p.m. Can you confirm you're currently driving? Yes, driving, fine, no crash. This is unprecedented. We're showing you in two locations simultaneously, two timelines. In one timeline, you crash at 3:17. In another, you're still approaching it. Ms. Morrison, listen carefully. Do not reach mile marker 3:17. Exit immediately. Take any exit before 3:17. Why? What happens at 3:17? In the timeline where you crash, you die. Impact with a bridge abutment. Estimated speed 93 miles per hour. You lose control. We don't know why. But in that timeline, you're dead at 8:17 p.m. 3 minutes after impact. My hands went cold on the wheel. How can you be tracking two timelines? We can't. We shouldn't be able to, but we are. Since 7:30 p.m., our systems have been receiving data from two versions of you. One crashed, one still driving. We're talking to the one still driving, trying to prevent the crash that's already happened in the other timeline. I saw a sign, exit 290, 2 miles. I'm taking exit 290. Good, exit, stop, don't continue on I-40. I moved to the right lane, slowed to 60. The exit approached. I activated my turn signal, started to turn the wheel. Then my phone rang again, different number, unknown. I answered on the truck's Bluetooth. Angela, don't take that exit. My own voice, my exact voice. This is you calling from 8:47 p.m. You took exit 290 in my timeline. There's a truck waiting at the bottom of the ramp, jackknifed. You'll hit it at 40 miles per hour. You'll die at 8:52 p.m. Don't exit. Stay on I-40. I jerked the wheel back straight, stayed on the highway. Who is this? How do you have my voice? I told you I'm you, 33 minutes in your future. In my timeline, you took exit 290 and died. But somehow I'm able to call back, warn you, you need to stay on I-40, pass mile marker 317 and take exit 325. That's the safe route. That's how I survived. Dispatch was yelling through the other phone. Morrison, do not listen to that voice. Exit at 290, that's an order. My own voice. They're wrong. They're tracking the timeline where you crashed at 317, but I'm tracking the timeline where you survived. Trust me. I'm you. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking about Sarah, your daughter. You're thinking she needs you. She does. And you'll only be there for her if you trust me and take exit 325. Sarah, my daughter, 16 years old. How did this voice know to mention her? How did it know exactly what I was thinking? Unless it really was me, from the future, from a timeline where I'd made the right choice and survived. I passed exit 290, saw smoke in the distance at the bottom of the ramp. A jackknifed truck, exactly like the voice said. If I'd exited, I would have hit it. The voice was right. Future me was right. Dispatch, there's a crash at exit 290. Jackknifed truck, I would have hit it. We're not showing any accidents at 290. Ms. Morrison, you need to follow instructions. Exit immediately. I'm staying on I-40, taking exit 325. Mile marker 300 passed, then 305. My hands were shaking. Two versions of dispatch, two timelines, multiple futures branching and collapsing. I was driving through some kind of temporal anomaly where futures were bleeding backward, warning their pasts, trying to collapse into the surviving timeline. Mile marker 317 approached. I gripped the wheel, 68 miles per hour, steady. In the timeline, dispatch was tracking. I crashed here, died here, but I was going to pass it safely, prove that timeline wrong. As I crossed 317, my truck shuddered. Reality flickered. For just a second, less than a second, I experienced both timelines. In one, I was driving safely past. In the other, I was swerving, losing control, my truck leaving the road, flipping, metal crushing, dying. I felt both, lived both, died in one while surviving in the other. Then the moment passed. I was through 317, still on the road, still alive. The crashed timeline collapsed, ceased to exist. I'd driven through it and survived it and erased it by not living it. My phone rang, my voice again. Good. You made it past 317. Now listen. At mile marker 320, a deer runs across the road. Don't swerve, hit it. If you swerve, you'll overcorrect and hit the median barrier. You'll die at 8:23 p.m. Hit the deer. I can't just hit a deer. You have to. I swerved, I died, you hit it, you live, trust me. Mile marker 320. Deer on the shoulder, it bolted, ran directly into my lane. Every instinct screamed to swerve, but I didn't. I held the wheel straight, hit the deer at 68 miles per hour, impact, blood on my windshield. The truck shuddered but stayed straight. The deer died instantly. I kept driving. Good, my future voice said. You're doing good. Exit 325 is 5 miles ahead. Take it. Don't stop until you reach the truck stop 3 miles past the exit. Park there, you'll be safe. Safe from what? What's happening? Time is collapsing around I-40. Has been since 7:30 p.m. Multiple timelines branching every minute. Every decision creates a new future. Most of those futures end with you dead. I'm the version of you from the surviving timeline. I'm calling back to guide you through the choices that keep you alive. But I can only call for 43 minutes. After that, the temporal connection breaks. You'll be on your own. Why is this happening? Don't know. Something about I-40 tonight. Some kind of temporal instability. You're not the only driver experiencing it. There are 17 trucks in the anomaly zone. Most of them are dying in their timelines. Only 3 of us survived. I'm one. I'm trying to save you so you become another survivor. I reached exit 325, took it, drove 3 miles, saw the truck stop, pulled in, parked, shut off the engine. It was 8:16 p.m. 43 minutes had passed since the first dispatch call at 7:33 p.m. My phone was silent. No more calls from future me. No more warnings from dispatch. Just silence. I sat in my truck, shaking, trying to process what had happened. I'd driven through collapsing timelines, made choices guided by my own future self, survived by hitting a deer and ignoring dispatch and trusting a voice that sounded exactly like me because it was exactly me. I called dispatch, normal dispatch. This is Morrison. I'm parked at the truck stop at exit 325. I need to report. I don't know what to report. Morrison, hold on, let me check. Okay, our systems show you were at mile marker 317 at 8:14 p.m. Then our tracking went dead for 43 minutes. You just reappeared on our systems at the truck stop. Where have you been? Driving. I've been driving. I passed 317, took exit 325. I'm here. Our systems show you crashed at 317. I didn't crash. I'm fine. I'm parked. Long silence. We have conflicting data. We'll need to investigate. Stay at that truck stop. Don't move. We're sending someone. They sent a safety team. Examined my truck. The deer blood on my bumper and windshield. The minor damage from the impact. Everything else was normal. No crash damage. No evidence of an accident. I was alive and fine and exactly where I said I was. But their systems had recorded a crash. Had recorded my death. Had tracked a timeline where Angela Morrison died at mile marker 317 at 8:14 p.m. on September 15th, 2023. That timeline had existed. I'd felt it. I'd experienced dying in it for a fraction of a second as I drove through mile marker 317 and collapsed that timeline by not living it. They put me on medical leave, psychological evaluation, said I'd experienced a dissociative episode. Hallucinated the phone calls from my future self. Created a false memory of dispatch warning me about crashes that never happened. But I know what I experienced. I No, I was guided through collapsing timelines by a version of me that survived and called back to save me. I don't drive I-40 anymore. Can't. Can't risk encountering another temporal anomaly. Can't risk making the wrong choice and dying in a timeline while surviving in another. Can't risk experiencing my own death even for a fraction of a second. But sometimes my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer. It's my voice. From the future, warning me about something. A car accident I'm about to be in. A medical emergency I'm about to have. A decision I'm about to make that leads to death. Future me calls back, guides me, keeps me alive. I think I'm stuck in a loop, a temporal loop where I keep surviving by being warned by my future self who survived by being warned by her future self. Who survived by being warned by her future self. An infinite chain of Angelas reaching back through time, guiding younger Angelas through the choices that keep the chain unbroken. If I die, the chain breaks, no future me to warn past me. The timeline where I died becomes the only timeline, but as long as I survive, I can call back. Warn yesterday's me, keep the chain going. How many times have I driven I-40 and died? How many collapsed timelines am I avoiding by following warnings from my future self? How many versions of Angela Morrison are dead while I continue living? I don't know. I only know that my phone rings with calls from my future, and I always answer, and I always follow the warnings, and I always survive to become the future me who calls back and warns. The dispatcher who calls from your future isn't dispatch, it's you, calling yourself, warning yourself, saving yourself. An endless chain of temporal phone calls reaching back to keep you alive. And if you're driving I-40 between mile markers 283 and 325 on the wrong night, your phone might ring. You might hear your own voice, warning you, guiding you, telling you which exits to take and which deer to hit and which timelines to avoid. Answer the phone, trust the voice, follow the warnings, because that voice is you surviving, you calling back, you keeping yourself alive. And if you don't answer, if you don't trust, if you don't follow, then you die, and the chain breaks, and there's no future you to warn past you. And the crashed timeline becomes the only timeline. The dispatcher who calls from your future is you, and you're trying to save you. Listen to yourself, trust yourself, survive yourself, because the alternative is dying in a collapsed timeline that never quite existed. Angela Morrison, 41 years old, Covenant transport driver, survivor of the temporal anomaly on I-40, recipient of phone calls from her own future. Forever guided by the version of herself that survived and calls back to keep the chain unbroken. The phone will ring, and it will be you, and you'll need to trust you, because you're the only one who knows which timeline keeps you alive. Story 3. The cargo that multiplies. I loaded 12 pallets in Phoenix, but when I opened my trailer in Albuquerque for the DOT inspection, there were 47 pallets and they were all breathing. Derek Sullivan, 39 years old, hauling for Schneider National for 14 years. Transporting what my manifest said was industrial foam padding from Phoenix to St. Louis. October 3rd, 2023, 11:52 a.m. The DOT inspector at the Albuquerque Way station flagged me for a random cargo inspection. Standard procedure happened maybe once every 30 loads. I pulled the release on my trailer doors, swung them open, and immediately knew something was catastrophically wrong. The trailer was full, floor to ceiling, wall to wall, 47 pallets where there should have been 12. Each pallet wrapped in the same brown shipping plastic, each one moving slightly, rhythmically, expanding and contracting like lungs. The entire trailer was breathing, all 47 pallets inhaling and exhaling in perfect synchronization. The DOT inspector stared. That's not 12 pallets. I loaded 12, 4 hours ago in Phoenix, there were 12. There are 47 now, and they're moving. We approached the nearest pallet. The plastic wrap was translucent enough to see through. The foam padding looked normal, industrial grade, gray, dense. Except it was pulsing, growing slightly with each breath, then shrinking, then growing again. The inspector used his knife to cut the plastic wrap on one pallet. The moment the plastic was breached, the foam expelled air. A wheeze, like puncturing a lung, and the smell, organic, biological, wrong. Not chemical foam smell, blood smell, meat smell. He pulled away the plastic completely. The foam underneath wasn't foam, it was flesh, sculpted to look like foam, shaped into rectangular blocks, but definitely flesh. Pink, warm, covered in fine hair and breathing, each block of flesh foam expanding and contracting independently. "What the fuck is this?" the inspector breathed. "I don't know. My manifest says industrial foam, that's what I loaded." He checked the other pallets. All the same, 47 pallets, all filled with flesh foam, all breathing, all warm, all alive. "This isn't foam, this is biological material. Undeclared biological cargo. This is a federal violation. Your CDL is suspended immediately pending investigation. Don't move this truck." He called it in. Within an hour, federal agents arrived, hazmat teams. They examined the cargo while I sat in my cab, suspended, watching my career evaporate. 14 years of clean driving, perfect safety record, gone because my cargo had multiplied and revealed itself to be living tissue. The agents questioned me. "Where did you load this?" "Industrial Park in Phoenix, warehouse on West Van Buren, company called Biomimetic Solutions." They called the address. No answer. Checked. Registration? Biomimetic Solutions didn't exist. No company by that name. No warehouse at that address. I'd loaded cargo from a facility that wasn't real. "Mr. Sullivan, we need you to explain how you loaded 47 pallets of biological tissue from a non-existent company." "I loaded 12 pallets of foam from a real warehouse with real workers. I watched them load it. I secured the straps. I closed the doors. There were 12 pallets. There are 47 now. Explain the discrepancy." "I can't. They multiplied. While I was driving, the cargo duplicated itself." The agents exchanged looks, the kind of look that says they think you're lying or insane. But the cargo was real. The multiplication was real. 47 pallets where 12 had been, living tissue where foam should be. They brought in specialists, biologists, tissue analysts. They examined the flesh foam, took samples, ran tests. What they found made no sense. The tissue was human, but not from one human, from hundreds, thousands. Each block of flesh foam was a composite. Skin from one person, muscle from another, fat from a third, bone fragments from a fourth, all merged together, woven together at a cellular level, all breathing together, all sharing a single respiratory rhythm. "This is impossible," one biologist said. "You can't merge tissue from different people. Rejection would occur, but this has no rejection. The cells have integrated completely. This is thousands of humans reduced to component parts and reassembled as foam." "Where did it come from?" "We don't know, but there's more of it appearing." I didn't understand. More? The cargo is still multiplying while we've been examining it. There are now 63 pallets, all breathing, all growing. The multiplication is accelerating. I looked at my trailer. It was bulging, the sides bowing outward, too much cargo for the space. The flesh foam was filling every cubic inch, pressing against the walls. The trailer groaned. Metal stress. It couldn't hold much more. "We need to remove the cargo," I said. "The trailer's going to rupture." "We can't remove it fast enough. It's doubling every 37 minutes. We unload one pallet and 3 more appear. We're fighting exponential growth." My trailer exploded, the sides split, metal tore, flesh foam spilled out onto the way station lot. Hundreds of pallets, all breathing, all expanding. The mass grew faster than we could process. It filled the lot, spilled onto the highway, blocked traffic. Hazmat teams tried to contain it, set up barriers, but the flesh foam flowed over them. It was mobile now, not just growing, moving, crawling, following some instinct, some hunger. It flowed toward the nearest truck, another semi parked for inspection. Engulfed it. The truck disappeared under pounds of living tissue. "It's consuming vehicles," someone shouted. "The biomass is absorbing metal, processing it, incorporating it." The flesh foam was eating trucks, breaking down metal and plastic and rubber at a molecular level, adding the materials to its own mass, growing faster. The respiratory rhythm intensified, louder, deeper, hundreds of pallets breathing in unison. The sound was deafening. They evacuated the way station, established a perimeter, called in military. But the flesh foam kept growing, kept multiplying, kept breathing. Within 6 hours, it covered 40 acres. Within 12 hours, it reached the interstate. Within 18 hours, it had consumed 27 trucks, 14 cars, and portions of 3 buildings. I watched from the perimeter, watched my cargo become a biological disaster, watched the tissue multiply and spread and consume. All because I'd loaded 12 pallets of industrial foam from a company that didn't exist. The military tried to destroy it. Flamethrowers, explosives, acid, nothing worked. The flesh foam adapted, developed heat resistance, explosive resistance, chemical resistance. It was evolving in real time, learning how to survive, learning how to consume more efficiently. They finally contained it with cryogenic freezing, dropped the temperature to -200 degrees. The respiratory rhythm slowed, stopped. The flesh foam froze solid. 12,000 tons of human composite tissue locked in ice. They're keeping it frozen in a military facility in Nevada, studied under containment protocols, trying to understand what it is, where it came from, how it multiplies, why it breathes. I've been questioned 47 times, same questions, different agents. They think I'm involved, think I knew what I was hauling, think I'm part of some bioterrorism network. But I'm just a driver. I loaded foam. It turned into flesh. It multiplied. I don't know why. My CDL was revoked permanently. I'm blacklisted from every trucking company. Can't drive commercially. Can't get certified. My career is over. 14 years gone. All because cargo I didn't understand multiplied in my trailer. But sometimes I wonder. The warehouse in Phoenix, the company that didn't exist, the workers who loaded my truck. Were they real, or were they part of the flesh foam, manifestations of it? Lures to get it loaded onto trucks so it could spread? And the multiplication. It started after I closed my trailer doors, after I started driving, like movement activated it, like the vibration of the road triggered its growth. How many other trucks are hauling foam that's secretly flesh? How many other drivers have cargo multiplying in their trailers right now? I've tried to warn people, posted online, contacted news organizations. No one believes me. They say I had a psychotic break, say I hallucinated the multiplication, say the cargo was always biological and I just didn't check it properly. But I know what I saw. I know 12 became 47. Became 63, became thousands. I know flesh foam consumed trucks and buildings and grew exponentially. I know it breathed. All those pallets breathing together. The sound still haunts me. If you're a trucker, if you pick up industrial foam, if the shipper seems off, if the warehouse feels wrong, check the cargo, cut the plastic, look at what you're hauling. Because foam isn't always foam. Sometimes it's flesh. Sometimes it multiplies. Sometimes it breathes. And once it starts multiplying, you can't stop it. You can only watch it grow. Watch it spread. Watch it consume, until the military freezes it and your career ends and you're left wondering how 12 pallets became a biological nightmare. Derek Sullivan, 39 years old, former Schneider National driver. The man who hauled the cargo that multiplied. The man who unknowingly transported living tissue that grew exponentially. The man whose trailer exploded with breathing flesh. They're still studying it, still trying to understand it, still keeping it frozen, but what happens if the containment fails? What happens if it thaws? What happens if it starts breathing again? 12 pallets. That's all it took, 12 pallets of flesh disguised as foam. And it became 12,000 tons. Imagine if I'd loaded a full truckload. Imagine if it had multiplied for days instead of hours. Imagine if they couldn't freeze it. The cargo multiplies, remember that, check your load. Because what you think is foam might be flesh. And flesh multiplies and breathes and consumes and grows until nothing can stop it. Except cold. Extreme cold. The only thing that stopped the respiratory rhythm, the only thing that froze the multiplication, the only thing between civilization and being consumed by living tissue that used to be thousands of people merged into foam. Check your cargo. Always check your cargo, because I didn't. And I paid the price, and the world almost paid a much higher price. The cargo that multiplies. It's out there, waiting, growing, breathing. Frozen for now. But waiting for the thaw, waiting to multiply again, waiting to consume again. 12 pallets, 14 years, 1 dot inspection. That's all it took to end my career and unleash a biological horror. Don't let it happen to you. Check your cargo, always, because multiplication doesn't need much to start. Just 12 pallets. Just a closed trailer. Just a driver who doesn't know what he's really hauling. The cargo that multiplies, and breathes, and consumes, and waits. Story 4. The rest stop where everyone is you. Every person at the rest area had my face, and they all turned to look at me simultaneously when I parked. Victor Chen, 46 years old, independent hauler for 19 years, driving from Sacramento to Boise with a load of computer servers. November 12, 2023, 3:47 a.m. I'd been pushing hard, 17 hours with only a quick fuel stop. My eyes were burning. My back ached. I needed 30 minutes, just enough to close my eyes. Reset. The rest area appeared at mile marker 234 on I-80 in Nevada. Standard facility, parking, bathrooms, vending machines. Maybe 20 vehicles scattered across the lot. I pulled in. Parked between 2 semis, killed the engine. And that's when I saw them through my windshield. A man walking from the bathroom building to a pickup truck. He had my face, exact face, same scar on my left eyebrow from a childhood accident. Same slightly crooked nose from a break that never healed right. He was wearing different clothes, a plaid shirt instead of my denim, but his face was mine. I sat frozen, watched him get in the pickup and drive away. Told myself I was hallucinating from exhaustion. 17 hours was too long. I was seeing things, had to be. Then another person emerged from the bathroom. A woman, my age, Asian with my face, feminine version of my features, but unmistakably mine. Same eyes, same mouth, same bone structure. She walked to a sedan, got in, drove away. I grabbed my flashlight, got out of my truck, needed to see this clearly, needed to confirm I was losing my mind. Because people couldn't have my face was mine, individual, unique. But I'd just seen 2 people wearing it. More people were scattered around the rest area. A man at the vending machines, a woman on a bench, a teenager by the dog walking area, all different ages, different genders, different body types. But all with my face. They all turned to look at me when I climbed down from my cab. 20 people, 20 faces, all mine. The man at the vending machines waved. "Victor, when did you get here?" He knew my name. He had my face. He was walking toward me, smiling my smile, moving with my gestures. He was me, or a version of me, or something wearing me. "Who are you?" I asked. I'm Victor Chen. Same as you. We're all Victor Chen here. Every person at this rest stop, every vehicle. We're all you. Different versions from different choices, different timelines, different lives, but all you. I backed toward my truck. That's not possible. It's very possible. This rest area exists at a junction point, a place where different versions of the same person converge. You've been driving for 17 hours. You're exhausted, vulnerable. That's when junction points become visible. That's when you can see the other yous. The woman on the bench stood. She had my face with longer hair. I'm Victor from the timeline where I transitioned, where I became Victoria. But I'm still you. Still made the same choices until the divergence point. The teenager approached, younger version of my face. I'm Victor from the timeline where I died at 17. Car accident. But I still exist here, at the junction point where all Victors meet. This was insanity, exhaustion-induced psychosis. I was hallucinating. Had to be. But the faces were so detailed, so specific. Every version had the scar, the crooked nose, the exact shade of my eyes. They couldn't be hallucinations. Hallucinations weren't this precise. Why are you all here? I asked. Because you're here, the first Victor said. You arrived at the junction point. That activates it, pulls in other versions from nearby timelines. We're drawn here, compelled to meet you, to show you what you could have been, what you might still become, what you avoided being. A door opened on one of the semis. Another Victor climbed out. This one was older, maybe 60, with my face aged by years of hard living. I'm Victor from 15 years in your future, the timeline where you keep driving. Never retire, die behind the wheel at 61 from a heart attack. That's where you're headed if you don't change. A pickup truck pulled in. Victor got out. This one was obese, 400 pounds. My face stretched by weight. I'm Victor from the timeline where I gave up driving, became depressed, ate compulsively, died at 52 from diabetes complications. That's the alternative if you quit. More Victors arrived, more versions, more choices visualized. Victor who became an addict, Victor who got married, Victor who stayed single, Victor who had children, Victor who went to prison, Victor who became wealthy, Victor who became homeless. Every possible version of me converging on this rest area. All with my face, all telling me their stories, all showing me what I could have been. You're at a choice point, the original Victor said. A major decision coming in your life. The junction point appears when you're about to make a choice that creates significant branching. We're here to show you the outcomes, to let you see the consequences before you choose. What choice? Tomorrow morning, 9:47 a.m. You'll receive a phone call, a job offer, different company, better pay. But it requires relocating to Atlanta, away from Sacramento, away from your sister who's sick, away from your dying mother. You'll have to choose. Take the job and lose family. Decline the job and struggle financially. I knew the situation. My mother had stage 4 cancer, 6 months to live. My sister was caring for her. I visited weekly. A job offer away from them would mean abandoning them in their final months together. But I was drowning in debt, medical bills from my own health issues. I needed better pay. What happens if I take the job? The wealthy Victor stepped forward. I took it, made more money, paid my debts, built a successful career, but I wasn't there when Mom died. She passed alone in hospice. My sister never forgave me. I have money but no family. I'm successful but isolated. What if I decline? The homeless Victor. I declined, stayed with Mom, was there when she died, maintained my relationship with my sister, but I couldn't pay my medical bills, lost my truck, lost my CDL, ended up on the street. I kept my family but lost everything else. Both choices end badly? Most choices do, Victoria said. Life is about choosing which bad outcome you can live with, which regrets you're willing to carry. We're here to show you the regrets before you earn them. More vehicles arrived, more victors. The parking lot filled with versions of me, hundreds now, all different outcomes, all possible lives, all my face wearing different expressions, some content, some miserable, some dead. Ghost victors from timelines where I didn't survive to 46. "This is too much," I said. "I can't process this." "You have to," the first victor said. "The junction point doesn't appear often. When it does, you must witness the alternatives, must understand the scope of your choices, must see yourself in all possible forms. Only then can you choose wisely." "What if I don't choose? What if I ignore the phone call tomorrow?" Every victor laughed simultaneously, a chorus of my laugh, echoing across the rest area. "You can't ignore it. Ignoring is a choice, and we have victors from that timeline too." A disheveled victor approached, paranoid eyes, my face twisted by fear. I ignored the call, pretended I never received it, but the choice paralyzed me. I couldn't move forward, couldn't commit to staying or leaving. Existed in limbo, drove myself mad trying to avoid deciding, ended up institutionalized. The junction point was forcing me to choose, to see all outcomes, to understand that every decision was a fracture point creating new timelines, and all those timelines existed simultaneously. All those victors were real, living their consequences, showing me mine before I earned them. I wanted to leave, drive away, escape the rest area and its impossible crowd of myselves. But when I tried to get in my truck, the door wouldn't open, locked. I pulled harder, nothing. The truck had sealed itself, trapping me here until I witnessed all the alternatives. More victors arrived, more timelines. Victor who learned to paint, Victor who wrote a book, Victor who committed suicide, Victor who became religious, Victor who abandoned religion, Victor who reconciled with his father, Victor who never spoke to his father again. Thousands of choices, thousands of outcomes, all wearing my face. How long do I have to stay here? Until you understand, until you accept that every choice has weight, that every decision creates and destroys, that you can't avoid consequences by avoiding choices, that the only way forward is to choose and accept the outcome. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt unstable at the junction point. Victors kept arriving, kept sharing outcomes, kept showing me lives I could live or avoid or destroy. My head throbbed. Too much information, too many alternatives. I couldn't choose, couldn't process, couldn't function under the weight of infinite possibility. Then the oldest victor approached. This one was 93. My face ancient, liver spots, wrinkles, but still recognizably mine. "I'm Victor from the timeline where you stop trying to choose perfectly, where you accept that all choices are flawed, where you pick the option you can live with and stop torturing yourself with alternatives. I took the job. I regret missing Mom's death, but I survived. I thrived. I accepted my regret and moved forward. That's the only way to exist. Choose, regret, move forward. That's the lesson? That's reality. You're seeking a perfect choice. It doesn't exist. You're seeking a timeline where everything works out. It doesn't exist. You're seeking a version of you without regrets. He doesn't exist. Every victor here has regrets. Every life has pain. The question is, which pain can you carry? The junction point began to fade. The victors became transparent, ghostly, disappearing back into their timelines. The parking lot emptied. My truck door unlocked. I could leave now. I'd witnessed the alternatives, seen the outcomes, understood the weight. I got in my truck, started the engine, drove away. As I exited the rest area, I looked in my mirror. All the victors were gone, just empty parking spaces. Had they been real? Or was the junction point a hallucination, a fever dream from exhaustion? But I remember their faces, my face, Thousands of times, all different lives, all possible me's, all showing me what tomorrow's choice would create. The phone rang at 9:47 a.m. the next morning. Job offer, Atlanta, better pay. I stared at the phone, saw all the victors, saw all the outcomes: wealthy victor, homeless victor, dead victor, successful victor, isolated victor, every possibility branching from this single moment. I answered. Victor Chen. Mr. Chen, this is company name. We'd like to discuss a position. I listened. I considered. I remembered the oldest Victor, the one who said choose, regret, and move forward. I made my choice. I won't tell you which one, because this story isn't about my decision, it's about the junction point, the rest area where everyone was me, where I saw all possible lives, where I learned that choice is inevitable and regret is guaranteed and moving forward is the only option. You'll find the junction point too. Maybe not at a rest area, maybe not on I-80, but somewhere, when you're exhausted, when you're vulnerable, when you're facing a major choice. You'll see all the alternative views, all the possible outcomes, all the faces you could wear, and they'll all turn to look at you simultaneously, and they'll all say your name, and they'll all show you what you could become, what you could avoid, what you could destroy. The junction point exists. I've been there. I've seen myself multiplied by possibility. I've met every victor that could exist. And now I live with my choice and my regret and my forward movement. Victor Chen, 46 years old, independent hauler, visitor to the junction point, the man who met everyone who was him, the man who chose despite seeing all outcomes, the man who moves forward despite regret. The rest area is still there. Mile marker 234, I-80, Nevada. Waiting for the next traveler, the next person approaching a major choice, the next soul who needs to see alternatives before choosing. But you can't find it unless it finds you, unless you're exhausted, unless you're vulnerable, unless you're about to fracture your timeline with a significant decision. And when you do find it, when you park and see everyone with your face, when they all turn simultaneously and say your name, remember, every choice has weight, every life has regret, every victor moves forward. Choose, regret, move forward. That's all anyone can do. That's all the junction point teaches. That's all I learned from meeting myself 1,000 times at the rest area where everyone was me. Story 5, the truck that came back wrong. My Peterbilt returned from the repair shop after major engine work, but the truck wouldn't let me drive anywhere except west, and when I tried to resist, the steering wheel burned my hands until I complied. Nathan Brooks, 52 years old, owner-operator for 27 years, hauling produce from Salinas to Phoenix. December 7th, 2023, 6:23 a.m. The engine had blown outside Bakersfield 3 weeks earlier. Catastrophic failure, complete rebuild required. I towed it to Valley Diesel Service. They'd done the work, called me when it was ready, $5,000 in repairs. But when I picked it up, something was wrong. The truck felt different, not mechanically wrong, something else. I climbed into the cab. The seat was positioned wrong, not my settings. I adjusted it. The mirrors were angled wrong. I adjusted them. The air freshener I'd hung from the mirror was gone, replaced with a different one. Same pine scent, but new, not mine. I asked the shop manager, "Did someone drive my truck?" "Just test drives, standard procedure after engine work. The interior's different, the seat, the mirrors, the air freshener. We probably adjusted things during diagnostics. Everything's back to factory specs." But it wasn't. The truck felt foreign, like it wasn't mine anymore, like something had changed fundamentally during those 3 weeks in the shop. I signed the paperwork, paid, got the keys, started the engine. It sounded perfect, smooth, powerful. Better than before the failure, but wrong. The sound wasn't quite right. The vibration wasn't quite right. Everything was close to correct, but slightly off. Like a copy, an imitation, a replacement. I pulled out of the shop, headed for the highway. I needed to get to Salinas, pick up a load of lettuce. Deliver to Phoenix, standard run. I'd done it hundreds of times, but when I reached the on-ramp, the steering wheel resisted. I was turning right to merge onto Highway 99 North. The wheel wanted to turn left, wanted to go south. I forced it right. The wheel heated up. Not warm, hot, burning hot. My hands screamed, I let go. The wheel spun back left on its own. The truck took the left turn, headed south. Away from Salinas, away from my load. The wrong direction. What the fuck? I grabbed the wheel again, tried to correct. The heat intensified, my palms blistered. The pain was unbearable. I released. The truck maintained its southern course, driving itself, taking me west on Highway 58, toward Barstow, toward nothing I needed. I tried the brakes. They wouldn't engage. The pedal was dead. I tried turning off the engine. The ignition wouldn't turn. The truck had control. I was just cargo now, being driven somewhere, the truck's destination, not mine. The radio turned on by itself, static. Then a voice, not a broadcast, something speaking directly through my speakers. Nathan Brooks, this truck is no longer yours. You left it with us for 3 weeks. That was sufficient time for conversion. The vehicle you're driving is not the vehicle you left for repairs. We replaced it, replicated it, improved it. This truck serves a different purpose now. Who the fuck is we? What did you do to my truck? Valley Diesel Service is a conversion facility. We don't repair trucks. We replace them, swap them with our vehicles. Vehicles with autonomy, vehicles with purpose. This truck is taking you where we need you to go, where we need cargo delivered. You're the operator now, not the owner. You'll drive where the truck decides, deliver what the truck requires. You have no choice. The truck owns you. I pounded on the dashboard. I paid $5,000 for engine repairs. You stole my truck. You paid $5,000 for conversion. The contract you signed authorized it. Page 17, subsection C. Owner surrenders operational authority to vehicle systems upon completion of advanced engine integration. You agreed. You signed. The truck is ours now, and you're bound to it. I grabbed my phone, called the shop, got voicemail, called the police, tried to explain, said my truck had been stolen and replaced. They thought I was reporting a stolen vehicle. Sent a patrol car to intercept. But when the officer pulled me over, he examined the VIN, matched my registration. Everything was legitimate, same truck, same numbers, same identity. But it wasn't the same. It had been converted, replaced. Something else was driving while I sat helpless in the cab. The officer let me go. Said everything checked out. Said I should get some sleep. Implied I was confused, disoriented. But I knew what I felt. The burning steering wheel, the automated driving, the voice through my radio. This truck was possessed or hijacked, or converted into something that only looked like mine. We drove for 6 hours. West, through the Mojave, through Barstow, through Baker, into Nevada. The truck maintained 72 miles per hour. Perfect speed, never varied, never stopped. When I needed fuel, a station appeared and the truck pulled in. Fueled itself. The pump activated without payment. Dispensed diesel. Returned to the highway. I had no control, no input, just sitting in the driver's seat while the truck drove. At 3:47 p.m., we reached a facility in the middle of nowhere, Nevada desert. No signs, no markers, just a warehouse complex with loading docks. The truck backed itself into Dock 7. Workers came out, opened my trailer. I didn't have a trailer. I'd left my trailer in Salinas, but there was a trailer attached now, 53 feet, refrigerated. When had it been attached? I didn't remember stopping, didn't remember coupling, but it was there. The workers unloaded cargo. I couldn't see what. They worked quickly, efficiently. Within 20 minutes, the trailer was empty. Then they loaded new cargo. Again, I couldn't see. The dock door blocked my view, but I heard machinery. Heard something heavy being loaded. Felt the suspension compress under weight. Something massive, something dense. The workers finished, closed the trailer doors, sealed them, disconnected the dock. The truck started itself, drove away from the facility, back onto the highway. East now, back the direction we'd come. But not towards Salinas, towards somewhere else. Somewhere the voice through the radio didn't specify. "What did you load?" I asked. "Cargo, that's all you need to know. You're a driver. You drive. You don't ask about cargo. You deliver it where the truck takes you. This is your function now. Transport, nothing more." We drove through the night. The truck didn't stop, didn't require rest. But I required rest. I was exhausted, starving, needed sleep, but the truck wouldn't stop, just kept driving. Mile after mile, hour after hour. I dozed in the seat, woke, dozed again. The truck maintained its course, perfect speed, perfect lane position. Driving better than I ever could. At dawn, we reached another facility. Rural Arizona, another warehouse, another loading dock. The truck backed in. Workers unloaded the mysterious cargo. I still couldn't see what. Then they loaded something else, lighter this time, many smaller packages. I counted 53 boxes loaded in maybe 10 minutes. Fast, efficient, organized. The truck left, drove to another facility, Nevada again. Unloaded the 53 boxes, loaded something else. Then to California, unloaded, loaded, then to Utah. Unloaded, loaded, a circuit, a route. The truck drove a specific pattern, visiting specific facilities, transporting specific cargo I wasn't allowed to see or understand. This continued for 3 days. The truck drove. I sat. Occasionally I was allowed bathroom breaks when the truck stopped at facilities. Occasionally I was given food by the workers, but I had no control, no freedom. I was cargo like whatever was in the trailer, being transported, moved, utilized. On the 4th day I tried to escape. When the truck stopped at a facility in Idaho, I opened my door and ran. Made it maybe 50 yards before I felt it. A searing pain in my chest, like electricity, like my heart was being shocked. I collapsed, couldn't breathe. The pain intensified. I crawled back toward the truck. The pain lessened. I reached the cab, climbed inside. The pain stopped. "You can't leave," the voice said. "During conversion, we installed a proximity device. You must stay within 100 feet of the truck, exceed that distance and the device activates, causes cardiac arrest. You're bound to this vehicle, permanently. You'll drive for us forever, or until we decide you're no longer useful." I was a prisoner, a slave, bound to a truck that wasn't mine, forced to drive routes I didn't choose, transport cargo I couldn't see, deliver to facilities I didn't understand. My life was no longer mine. The truck owned me. The conversion had taken everything. Weeks passed, then months. I lost track. The truck drove. I sat. Sometimes I tried to fight, tried to crash, tried to stop. The truck wouldn't let me. It controlled steering, controlled brakes, controlled everything. I was just biological cargo, a warm body fulfilling the legal requirement that a driver be present. But I wasn't driving. The truck was. Other drivers started appearing at the facilities, others like me, converted, bound, trapped in trucks that drove themselves. We didn't speak, couldn't speak. The proximity devices prevented us from getting close enough to communicate. We just exchanged looks, hollow eyes, defeated expressions. All of us driving routes we didn't choose. All of us enslaved to trucks that came back wrong from repair shops. I tried to track the facilities, map them, understand the network, but there were too many. Dozens scattered across 7 states, all connected. All receiving cargo from converted trucks. All staffed by workers who moved efficiently and never spoke. A shadow logistics network, using trucks and drivers converted during repairs. The cargo varied. Sometimes it was small boxes, sometimes large crates. Sometimes things I could hear moving, sometimes silence. I never saw what. The workers were careful, blocked my view, kept me ignorant. I was transportation, not trusted with knowledge, just utilized for my commercial driver's license and my truck's legal status. I'm still driving, still bound, still enslaved to the truck that came back wrong. It's been 7 months since Valley Diesel Service converted my Peterbilt. 7 months of automated routes. 7 months of mysterious cargo. 7 months of facilities and workers and other hollow-eyed drivers. I don't know what we're transporting. Don't know who operates the network. Don't know the purpose. I only know I can't escape. The proximity device ensures it. The truck ensures it. I'm bound until I die or become useless. And when that happens, they'll find another driver, convert another truck, expand the network. If your truck needs major repairs, be careful where you take it. Read the contract, specifically page 17, subsection C. The part about surrendering operational authority, the part that converts you from owner to operator, the part that binds you to a vehicle that came back wrong. Valley Diesel Service converted mine, but there are other shops, other facilities, other conversion points. The network is growing, more trucks, more drivers, more mysterious cargo being transported across a shadow logistics system. My Peterbilt looks like my Peterbilt. Same VIN, same registration, same everything. But it's not mine. It came back wrong, and now it owns me, drives me, uses me forever. Nathan Brooks, 52 years old, former owner-operator, current cargo, bound to a truck that came back wrong. Driving routes chosen by someone else. Transporting cargo I can't see. Enslaved to a vehicle that looks like mine but serves different masters. The truck won't let me drive anywhere except where it decides, and when I try to resist, the steering wheel burns my hands until I comply. That's my life now. Burns and compliance, automated routes and mysterious cargo. A prisoner in my own truck that's no longer my own. Check your contracts. Read page 17. Because conversion is real, and trucks come back wrong. And once they do, they own you forever. The steering wheel is burning again. Time to comply. Time to drive. Time to deliver cargo I don't understand to facilities I can't map. Time to be the operator of a truck I no longer own. That's all I am now. All any of us converted drivers are. Operators, cargo, slaves to trucks that came back wrong. Story 6. The weigh station that weighs your future. The scale said my truck weighed 84,000 pounds, which was impossible. But then the display changed to show future weight, 84,000 lbs, days remaining, 47. Christopher Walsh, 43 years old, driving for Werner Enterprises for 12 years, hauling furniture from North Carolina to Nevada. January 14, 2024, 10:37 a.m. The weigh station on I-40 in Tennessee was mandatory. All commercial vehicles must stop when the sign's illuminated. I pulled onto the scale, expecting the usual 79,000 pounds I'd weighed at the shipper. But the display showed 84,000. 5,000 pounds overweight. Impossible. I hadn't picked up anything, hadn't loaded anything since North Carolina. The intercom crackled. "Driver, you're showing overweight. Pull into inspection bay 3. I pulled forward, parked. A DOT officer approached with a tablet. License and registration. I handed them over. There's a mistake with the scale. I weighed 79,000 at origin. I couldn't have gained 5,000 pounds. He checked his tablet. Scale says 84,000, but there's something else. A secondary reading. It says future weight. Days remaining, 47. You know what that means? No. Neither do I. Never seen this before. Let me check the trailer. He walked back. I followed. He opened the doors. The furniture was all there, properly secured, nothing added, nothing changed. Same load I'd started with. We checked the weight distribution, checked the axles. Everything showed 79,000 pounds, except the scale's primary reading, which said 84,000, and the mysterious secondary reading, future weight 84,000 lbs. Days remaining 47. "I need to call this in," the officer said. "Wait here." He returned to his station. I stood by my truck, confused. Future weight, days remaining, what did that mean? Weight from the future? Weight that would exist in 47 days? That was insane. Weight was current, present tense, not future, not predictive. The officer came back. "Okay, this is unusual. My supervisor says the scale's been malfunctioning, showing future predictions for some vehicles. Started 3 days ago. You're the 7th driver with a future weight reading. But yours is concerning. Why? The other drivers showed future weight decrease, lost weight over time. Yours shows gain. You're adding 5,000 pounds over the next 47 days. And we need to understand what you're adding." "I'm not adding anything. I'm delivering this load in Nevada and deadheading back to North Carolina. No pickup scheduled. According to this scale, you're picking up something that weighs 5,000 pounds. Something you'll be carrying in 47 days. A chill ran through me. Can a scale predict the future? No. Scales measure present weight. But this scale, something's wrong with it. Or something's right with it. We don't know. But 6 other drivers showed future readings, and all those readings came true. Driver 1 showed future weight loss of 3,000 pounds. 47 days later, he lost his trailer in an accident. Lost 3,000 pounds of cargo exactly as predicted. The scale predicted his accident, or caused it, or observed it from a future perspective. We don't know. But the predictions are accurate. Driver 2 lost weight, Driver 3 lost weight, Driver 4 gained weight, picked up a new load exactly when predicted. Driver 5, 6, all accurate. And now you're Driver 7, gaining 5,000 pounds in 47 days. What am I gaining? That's what we need to determine. The scale doesn't show what, just weight and timing. You're adding 5,000 pounds, 47 days from now. January, he calculated. March 1st. You'll be carrying 5,000 pounds more than you are, right now. I didn't have any loads scheduled for March 1st. My calendar was clear. I was planning on taking time off. Visiting family. I wasn't supposed to be hauling anything. But the scale said otherwise. The scale said I'd be carrying something heavy. Something significant. Something that would add 5,000 pounds to my truck. Can I leave? You're not overweight right now. You're showing 79,000 on all our other scales. Just this one predictive scale showing 84,000. So yes, you can leave. But keep track. Document your weight. Because on March 1st, you're going to be carrying something and we need to know what. I left, completed my delivery in Nevada, returned to North Carolina, checked my schedule. Nothing for March 1st. Nothing that would add weight. I was clean, free. The scale had to be wrong, malfunctioning, predicting a future that wouldn't happen. But I couldn't shake the feeling. Future weight, days remaining. The scale had been accurate for 6 other drivers. Why would it be wrong for me? January passed. February passed. I hauled loads, normal freight, normal weight, nothing unusual, nothing that suggested I'd be carrying extra weight. March 1st approached. I decided to weigh myself, see if the prediction came true, see if I somehow ended up with 5,000 extra pounds. On February 28th, I parked at a truck stop with a CAT scale, weighed my truck, empty trailer, just the cab and chassis, 18,000 pounds, normal, empty weight, no cargo, no extra weight. The scale's prediction was wrong. I wouldn't be carrying anything tomorrow. I was empty. But on the morning of March 1st, I woke up feeling wrong, heavy, like I'd gained weight overnight. I checked myself, looked normal, but felt different, denser. I drove to the same CAT scale, weighed again, 23,000 pounds. 5,000 pounds heavier than yesterday. But I hadn't loaded anything. My trailer was still empty. The extra weight was in me, on me, around me. I'd gained 5,000 pounds without adding cargo. I got out, looked at my truck. It appeared normal, no visible changes, but it weighed 5,000 pounds more. The scale had predicted it. Future weight gained, not cargo weight, personal weight, the truck's weight, something metaphysical, something beyond physical cargo. I called the weigh station in Tennessee. "This is Christopher Walsh, driver 7, the one with the future weight prediction. It came true. I gained 5,000 pounds. But I don't understand how. I'm not carrying cargo." "We know," the officer said. "We've been tracking you. All 7 drivers with future readings. You're the last to reach your prediction date. And you're the only one who gained weight without adding physical cargo. We think the scale isn't predicting cargo weight, it's predicting consequence weight, metaphysical weight, the weight of future events, future burden, future responsibility. You're carrying something heavy, just not physical." "What am I carrying?" "We don't know. But whatever it is, it weighs 5,000 pounds in terms of impact, in terms of significance, in terms of consequence. The scale measures futures, and your future is heavy." I didn't understand. Still don't. But the weight is real. I feel it. Every time I drive, the truck handles differently. Heavier, sluggish. Like I'm hauling a full load even though my trailer's empty. The metaphysical weight is affecting physical performance. Other strange things started happening. People avoided me. Wouldn't make eye contact. Wouldn't speak to me like they sensed the weight. Sensed something heavy following me, something invisible but present. Something that added 5,000 pounds of consequence to my existence. A week later, I received a call. My brother was dead. Car accident. He'd been driving drunk, hit a family, killed 3 people, died in the crash. I was listed as next of kin, responsible for handling his affairs, responsible for the lawsuits, responsible for his consequences. 5,000 pounds of responsibility, 5,000 pounds of burden, 5,000 pounds of metaphysical weight that I'd be carrying for the rest of my life. My brother's actions became my weight. His consequences became mine. The scale had predicted it. Future weight gained, March 1st. Exactly as calculated, I understand now. The scale at that weigh station doesn't measure cargo. It measures futures. It looks forward. Sees the weight you'll carry, the burden you'll bear, the consequences you'll inherit. And it displays them as pounds, quantifies them, makes them visible. I'm carrying 84,000 pounds now. 79,000 of truck and trailer. 5,000 of metaphysical consequence. My brother's actions weighing me down, his victims' families seeking justice, his debts becoming mine, his weight becoming mine. The scale was right, perfectly accurate. I gained 5,000 pounds on March 1st, not cargo, consequence. And now I drive with that weight. Feel it in every mile, every turn, every acceleration. The truck knows. The truck feels the extra 5,000 pounds even though it's invisible, even though it's not physical. If you stop at a weigh station and the scale shows future weight, if it says days remaining and predicts a number, if it's showing you a version of yourself carrying more or less than you currently have, pay attention. That weight is coming, that burden is approaching, that consequence is inevitable. Mine was 5,000 pounds gained on March 1st. A brother's death, a family's destruction, a lifetime of responsibility I didn't earn but inherited. All quantified as weight, all predicted by a scale that sees futures. The other 6 drivers experienced their predictions too. Some lost weight, lost cargo, lost trailers, lost lives. Some gained weight like me, gained burden, gained consequence, all exactly as the scale predicted, all on the exact days calculated. The weigh station on I-40 in Tennessee weighs your future, measures what you'll carry, predicts the pounds of consequence approaching, and it's always accurate, always precise, always right. Christopher Walsh, 43 years old, Werner Enterprises driver, carrier of 84,000 pounds, 79,000 physical, 5,000 metaphysical. Predicted by a scale that sees tomorrow. Confirmed on March 1st when my brother died and his weight became mine. The scale weighs your future. Remember that. And when it shows numbers higher than your current weight, when it says days remaining, when it predicts gain or loss, believe it. Because the weight is coming, the burden is approaching, the consequence is inevitable. And on the designated day, you'll feel it, you'll carry it, you'll drive with 5,000 extra pounds of future weight that the scale saw before it arrived, before you knew it was coming, before you could prepare. Future weight, 84,000 pounds. Days remaining, 0. The prediction fulfilled, the burden inherited, the consequence carried, forever. Story 7. The convoy that drove in circles. We'd been following the same 3 trucks for 18 hours, and I just realized we'd passed the same rest area 7 times. Lisa Martinez, 36 years old, driving for Crete Carrier for 8 years, hauling electronics from Chicago to Los Angeles on I-80. February 6, 2024, 11:47 p.m. I'd fallen in with the convoy around Iowa City, 3 semis running together, maintaining steady speeds, providing wind resistance benefits. Standard practice. I pulled in behind the 3rd truck, matched their 67 miles per hour. Settled in for the long haul. The lead truck was a prime Incairn trailer. 2nd was U.S. Express. 3rd was Swift Transportation. All different companies, all headed west, all maintaining perfect formation, 1 mile between each truck. Precise spacing, professional drivers. I felt safe running with them. Less alertness required. Just follow and match speed. Hours passed. Iowa became Nebraska. We didn't stop, didn't break formation, just drove. The trucks ahead maintained their spacing, their speed, their route. I followed. No reason to do otherwise. We were making good time, steady progress. The convoy worked efficiently, but somewhere around midnight I noticed something. A rest area on the right. Standard facility. Sign said rest area mile 234. I'd seen it maybe an hour ago. Same sign, same location. But that was impossible. We'd been driving west continuously, 67 miles per hour. We couldn't pass the same rest area twice unless we'd turned around. But I hadn't felt any turns, hadn't seen any exits, just straight highway. I checked my GPS. It showed our position progressing west, miles clicking, steadily. 234, 235, 236, 237. We were moving, the numbers proved it, but the rest area, I could swear I'd seen it before. 30 minutes later, we passed it again. Same rest area, same sign, mile 234, but my GPS showed 267. The numbers didn't match. The rest area kept appearing while the GPS said we were miles past it. I grabbed my CB. Hey, convoy ahead, you guys seeing this? The same rest area keeps appearing. Static. No response. I tried again. Prime truck, U.S. Express, Swift, you guys copy? Nothing. The CB was silent. Dead. No chatter, no static, no one else on the airwaves. Just me and the 3 trucks ahead, driving in perfect formation, passing the same rest area repeatedly. An hour later, rest area mile 234 again. My GPS showed 311. We'd traveled 77 miles, but we kept passing the same landmark. We were driving in circles, or the road was looping, or space was broken. Something was wrong with our convoy's route. I tried to slow down, drop back, break formation. My truck wouldn't decelerate. The accelerator was locked at 67. My foot on the brake did nothing. The truck maintained convoy speed, maintained formation. I was trapped in the procession, following the 3 trucks ahead, unable to deviate, unable to stop. My phone showed no signal. My GPS showed progress but kept resetting. Each time we passed the rest area, my mileage would jump forward, but my position stayed the same. We were in a loop, a closed circuit, driving the same segment of I-80 repeatedly, never advancing, never escaping. Dawn came. I'd been in the convoy for 18 hours. Should be in western Nebraska, close to Wyoming. But we were still passing rest area mile 234, every 30 to 40 minutes. Regular intervals. The same landmark cycling past while my GPS lied about our location. I tried to see the drivers ahead, looked for movement in their cabs. Nothing. They sat motionless, hands on wheels, perfect posture, unmoving, like mannequins, like corpses, like they'd been driving so long they'd become part of their trucks. Merged with the vehicles, no longer biological, just mechanisms maintaining formation. The road itself looked wrong now. The asphalt was too perfect, no cracks, no repairs, no variations, just endless smooth pavement. The lane markers never faded. The signs were all identical, the landscape repeated. Trees in the exact same positions, hills with identical shapes. We were driving through a copy, a simulation, a loop designed to trap convoys. I counted the cycles. Rest area appeared, 15 minutes appeared again. 15 minutes appeared again. The loop was 15 minutes long. 67 miles per hour times 0.25 hours equals 16.75 miles. We were driving a 17-mile loop over and over for 18 hours. That was, I calculated, 63 loops, 63 times passing the same rest area, 63 cycles through identical road. Why? What was the purpose? Were we generating something, powering something? The rhythmic driving, the perfect formation, the endless repetition. Maybe we were trapped in some kind of energy collection system. Our movement harvested, our fuel burned to drive generator trucks, creating power for something unknown. Or maybe the loop was punishment, a hell for truckers. Driving forever, never reaching destinations, never stopping. Just convoy formation maintained eternally. 3 trucks ahead, 1 behind, all trapped, all repeating, all cycling through the same 17 miles. I screamed, pounded the dashboard, tried everything to break free, nothing worked. The truck stayed in formation. My hands stayed on the wheel, my foot stayed on the locked accelerator. I was just watching, observing, a passenger in my own body while something else controlled my actions. More cycles, more hours, more repetitions. The sun crossed the sky, set, rose again. Time was passing normally for the universe, but for the convoy, time looped. We existed in a closed temporal circuit, repeating the same 17 miles, the same 15 minutes forever. I counted the other vehicles. Maybe I wasn't alone in realizing the loop. Maybe the trucks ahead were trying to escape too. I tried to see their brake lights, their turn signals. Any indication of struggle? Nothing. They drove perfectly, smoothly, as if they didn't know, or didn't care, or had accepted the loop. How long had they been here? The prime truck could have been looping for days, the U.S. Express for weeks, the Swift for months. All of them trapped longer than me. All of them driving the same 17 miles until they became part of the loop, until they stopped being drivers and became loop components. Necessary elements of the convoy. Forever. Would I become that? Would I drive until my consciousness faded? Until I was just a body maintaining formation? Until I forgot I'd ever had a destination? Until the loop was all I knew? I tried to remember Chicago, my origin, loading the electronics, the shipper's facility, my dispatcher's instructions. It was fading. The memories were less clear, less real. The loop was replacing them, overwriting them, making the rest area and the 17 miles and the 67 miles per hour the only reality. Los Angeles, my destination, where I was supposed to deliver. To who? What company? The details were gone. I couldn't remember. The loop had consumed it, erased it, made it irrelevant. There was no Los Angeles. There was only rest area mile 234 and the convoy and the endless repetition. No. I couldn't let it win. I focused, forced myself to remember. Lisa Martinez, 36 years old, Crete carrier, electronics, Chicago to Los Angeles. My daughter's birthday was next week, March 15th. She'd be 9. I had to escape, had to break the loop, had to reach Los Angeles, had to get home. I tried singing, loud, anything to maintain consciousness, maintain identity, maintain separation from the loop. My voice was hoarse, raw, but I sang. Old songs, songs from my daughter's childhood, songs that meant something, songs that connected me to reality outside the 17 miles. It helped. The memories stayed clearer. The destination remained visible. I was Lisa Martinez. I was in a loop. I was going to escape. I wouldn't become part of the convoy, wouldn't become a permanent component, wouldn't drive forever, but how? The truck wouldn't respond. I couldn't brake, couldn't steer, couldn't stop. I was trapped by my own vehicle, by the formation, by whatever controlled the convoy. Unless I looked at my fuel gauge, half tank. I'd been driving for 18 hours on half a tank. That was impossible. I should be empty. Should have run out hours ago. But the gauge stayed at half, never dropping. Like fuel was being replenished, or like the fuel wasn't real. Like the gauge was showing a simulated reading while the tank stayed full or empty or non-existent. What if I forced it to empty? What if I found a way to burn through the fuel? Make the truck stop not by braking but by running out of power. The loop couldn't continue if the truck stopped. Could it? I couldn't access the fuel system directly, but I could affect performance. I cranked the heat to maximum, all vents, full blast. That would strain the engine, burn more fuel. I turned on every electrical system, lights, radio, phone charger, everything that drew power. Make the truck work harder, consume faster. The fuel gauge started dropping, slowly. Half tank became 45%, 40%, 35%. Over the next 2 hours, it declined steadily. The loop continued. The rest area appeared, again and again. But my fuel dropped, 20%, 15%, 10%. The low fuel warning light illuminated. The convoy didn't react, just kept driving. Perfect formation, perfect speed. But my truck was running out. 5%, 3%, 1%, empty. The engine sputtered, died. My truck coasted, slowed. The convoy ahead maintained speed. The formation broke. The first time in how many hours? 30, 40, the first deviation, the first break in the loop. My truck rolled to a stop on the shoulder. Right at the rest area, mile marker 234. The same landmark I'd passed maybe 80 times, but now I was stopped. Outside the loop, the convoy continued without me. The 3 trucks ahead maintained formation, disappeared around a curve. I sat alone at rest area mile 234, engine dead, fuel empty, free. Or was I? I climbed out. The rest area was real, solid. I could walk around it, use the bathroom, check my phone. Still no signal. But the area existed outside the loop. It was different, older, weathered, not the perfect copy I'd been passing. This was the real rest area, the actual mile 234. And I was here. Escaped. I called a tow truck. No signal. I walked to the rest area building. Found a landline. Called for help. A tow arrived 6 hours later. I explained my truck was out of fuel, needed diesel. The driver looked confused. Your gauge shows 3/4 full. I checked. He was right. 3/4. The gauge had reset, but the engine was still dead. We tried to start it, nothing. The engine wouldn't turn over, like it had locked, frozen, refused to restart. I need to tow you, the driver said. He did, towed me to a repair shop. They examined the engine, found nothing wrong. Fuel was full, battery charged, everything functional, but the engine wouldn't start, refused, like it was dead not from malfunction but from choice. Like it wouldn't participate in driving anymore, wouldn't risk entering the loop again. They kept my truck for 3 days, ran every diagnostic, no problems found, but the engine stayed dead. Finally, I abandoned it. Too expensive to diagnose further, too mysterious to fix. I took a bus home, lost my load, lost my truck, lost my career, but I escaped the loop. I'm not driving rest area mile 234 anymore. I'm not in the convoy. I'm not cycling through the same 17 miles forever. I'm free. But sometimes I wonder about the other trucks, the Prime and US Express and Swift. Are they still looping? Still passing the same rest area? Still driving in perfect formation through identical road? How long will they drive? How long until they become permanent? How long until they forget they were ever going anywhere except around the loop? I escaped by running out of fuel, by forcing my truck to stop, by breaking formation. But most drivers won't think of that. Most will stay in the convoy. Follow the trucks ahead, maintain speed, drive the loop forever if you're on I-80, if you join a convoy, if the same landmark keeps appearing, count the cycles. Check your GPS, and if the numbers don't match reality, if you're passing the same mile marker repeatedly, break formation, stop, even if it means running out of fuel, even if it means abandoning your truck, even if it means losing everything. Because the alternative is the loop. Forever, driving the same 17 miles, passing the same rest area, maintaining the same formation. Until you forget where you were going, until you forget who you are, until you become part of the convoy. Permanent, eternal, trapped. Lisa Martinez, 36 years old, former Crete carrier driver, survivor of the convoy that drove in circles. 83 cycles through rest area mile 234, escaped by fuel exhaustion. Free but truckless, alive but changed. The convoy is still out there, still looping, still waiting for the next driver to join formation, still trapping trucks in eternal repetition. Don't join it, don't follow, don't trust convoys that never stop, because some convoys don't go anywhere. They just drive in circles. Forever. Story 8. The GPS that showed dead roads. My navigation system started displaying roads that had been closed for decades, and when I followed its directions, I found myself driving on highways that officially didn't exist anymore. Gerald Thompson, 58 years old, owner-operator for 33 years, hauling construction equipment from Seattle to Denver. March 19, 2024, 4:23 p.m. My GPS was a Garmin commercial unit, 5 years old, regularly updated, reliable. I'd driven maybe 2 million miles with its guidance. Never had problems. Until it rerouted me onto Highway 97A in Washington State, a road I'd never heard of, a road that wasn't on any map. The GPS displayed the route clearly. Highway 97A branching off Highway 97, 37 miles, shorter route, saved 40 minutes. I was behind schedule. The shortcut was tempting. I took the exit, followed the GPS onto 97A. The road was old, very old, cracked asphalt, faded markings, overgrown shoulders, no other traffic, no signs, no mile markers, just empty road cutting through forest. The GPS showed my position clearly. Highway 97A heading south on course, but something felt wrong. The road was too neglected, too forgotten. This wasn't a maintained highway. This was abandoned infrastructure, maybe closed decades ago. But the GPS treated it as active, as navigable, as current. I slowed down, examined the pavement, deep cracks, potholes, sections where nature was reclaiming the asphalt, trees growing through cracks. This road hadn't seen maintenance in 30 years, maybe 40. But my GPS showed it as a standard route. Same color as active highways, same designation. Highway 97A, I checked online. No signal, remote area. But when I'd had signal earlier, I'd looked up Highway 97A. No results, no highway with that designation in Washington. Highway 97 existed, 97A didn't, or hadn't existed for decades, closed, demolished, removed from maps, but somehow still present on my GPS, still accessible, still drivable despite its decay. I considered turning around, but I was already 15 miles in. Turning back meant adding 30 miles plus the 40 minutes I was trying to save. I'd lose over an hour. My delivery window was tight. I continued. The road couldn't be that bad. I'd driven worse during my career. Rough highways in rural areas. This was manageable. The forest thickened, pressed closer. The canopy blocked sunlight. The road dimmed, became a tunnel through trees. My headlights were necessary despite it being afternoon. The GPS showed steady progress. Mile markers ticked by on the display, though there were no actual markers on the road. My position updated smoothly. Highway 97A, 17 miles remaining. Then I saw the sign. Metal, rusted, bullet holes, half obscured by vines, but legible. Highway 97A, closed 1987, do not enter. 37 years ago. This road had been officially closed for 37 years, but my GPS updated 3 months ago showed it as active, showed it as a viable route, had routed me onto it, was currently guiding me along it. I stopped, checked the GPS. It showed Highway 97A clearly, an active road, blue line, same color as I-5 or any major highway. No indication of closure, no warnings, just normal navigation. But the sign said closed 1987. I tried to reroute. The GPS wouldn't respond. The screen was locked on the current route. Highway 97A, 12 miles remaining. No options to recalculate, no options to exit. Just forward, along the dead road. The road that shouldn't exist but did. The road my GPS insisted was normal. I drove slowly, 10 miles per hour, dodging potholes, avoiding cracks. The road was barely passable. My truck groaned. Suspension compressed. Cargo shifted. This wasn't safe, this wasn't smart, but the GPS showed no alternatives. Just Highway 97A. Keep driving. 11 miles remaining. Then I saw the car. Abandoned. 1990s sedan, overgrown with moss, windows broken, tires rotted, sitting in the middle of the road. I had to drive around it. Through the shoulder, through overgrowth. My truck barely fit. The sedan looked like it had been there for decades. Since the road closed, or since someone else followed a GPS that showed a dead road. More vehicles appeared. A truck from the 1980s, a van from the 1990s, a sedan from the 2000s, all abandoned, all overgrown, all positioned in the road like they'd stopped, died, been left behind when their drivers realized they were on a closed highway. A dead road, a route that only existed in GPS databases that hadn't updated properly, or that showed roads from the wrong time, roads that had been but no longer were. Except they were. The road was here, under my wheels, drivable despite its age, despite its closure, despite being removed from official maps. Highway 97A existed in some form, some version, some timeline where it remained active even though in official reality it had closed in 1987. My GPS showed 7 miles remaining. I'd been driving for 30 miles. Slow, careful. The sun was setting. The forest was darkening. My headlights illuminated more abandoned vehicles. Dozens of them, different decades, different conditions, all trapped on Highway 97A, all following navigation that showed a road that shouldn't exist. Then I heard the radio, turned on by itself, static, then voices, old broadcasts, news from 1987. Highway 97A will be permanently closed next month due to safety concerns. All traffic will be redirected to Highway 97. The announcement repeated. Looped, a ghost broadcast from 37 years ago. My radio picking up signals from when the road was alive, when it was active, before it died. The GPS showed 3 miles remaining. The road ahead looked worse, almost impassable. Cracks had become gaps, potholes had become craters, nature had reclaimed most of the surface. But the GPS insisted this was navigable. This was a route. This was Highway 97A. Keep driving, 3 miles. I saw lights ahead, not headlights. Structure lights. Building. I approached slowly. It was a gas station, old 1980s architecture, but the lights were on, the pumps were operational. A car was fueling, a 1987 model, pristine like it was brand new. A man in 1980s clothing was pumping gas. He looked up as I approached, waved. I was in 1987 or some version of it. Some pocket where Highway 97A still existed, still operated, still had traffic and gas stations and people who didn't know it would close soon. My GPS had routed me not just onto a dead road, but into a dead time. A closed timeline. A version of reality that ended in 1987 but somehow continued existing in parallel. Accessible through navigation systems that showed roads from all timelines, all versions, all possibilities. I didn't stop. I drove past the gas station, past the 1987 man, past the impossible preservation. The GPS showed 1 mile remaining. Soon I'd reach the end of Highway 97A, the point where it reconnected to Highway 97. The exit from the dead road, the return to current reality. The road ended at a junction, Highway 97 ahead. Familiar, modern, active. I pulled onto it. Traffic was normal, signs were current. I was back, out of the dead road, out of 1987, out of the impossible route. My GPS reset, showed Highway 97. Normal routing, no mention of 97A. Like it had never suggested the detour. Like the dead road didn't exist, but I'd driven it, seen the abandoned vehicles, heard the ghost broadcasts, witnessed the 1987 gas station. It was real. The GPS had shown me a road from another time, another version, and I'd driven through it. I checked my clock. 4 hours had passed, but it felt like 30 minutes. Time had been wrong on Highway 97A, compressed or expanded or running at different speeds. I'd lost 4 hours driving 37 miles, had aged 4 hours while experiencing 30 minutes. The dead road had stolen time, consumed it, added it to the decades it had been closed while simultaneously staying open in some timeline pocket. I reached Denver late, missed my delivery window, lost the contract. But I was alive, free, back in current reality. Many drivers who took Highway 97A weren't. Their vehicles remained there, trapped, abandoned, part of the road's collection, part of the impossible route's permanent traffic. My GPS hasn't shown Highway 97A since. Updates have been applied, database refreshed. But I know it's still there, in the system, waiting. Ready to route the next driver onto a dead road, a closed highway, a route through abandoned time. If your GPS shows a road you don't recognize, a highway with an unusual designation, a route that seems too good to be true, shortcut, time savings, perfect path. Don't take it, question it, verify it, because some roads your GPS shows are dead, closed decades ago, existing only in database ghosts and timeline pockets, and if you drive them, you might not come back, might join the abandoned vehicles, might become part of the dead. Road's permanent traffic. Gerald Thompson, 58 years old. Owner-operator, driver of Highway 97A, survivor of the dead road. 4 hours lost, timeline crossed, reality restored, GPS now distrusted. The dead roads are in your navigation system, waiting. Ready, showing routes that don't exist, showing highways from wrong times, showing paths through closed realities. And when you follow them, you drive through decades of abandonment, through ghost gas stations, through time that runs wrong, through roads that shouldn't be but are. Check your routes, question your GPS, because sometimes the shortest path is through a dead road, and dead roads don't let everyone leave. Story 9. The truck stop bathroom that changed me. I walked into the bathroom at the Petro in Amarillo as myself but walked out as someone else, and everyone treated me like I'd always been this other person. Rachel Brennan, 44 years old, driving for Maverick Transportation for 11 years, hauling steel coils from Oklahoma City to El Paso. April the 2nd, 2024, 8:37 p.m. I needed a bathroom break and a coffee refill. Standard truck stop. I parked, walked inside, went to the women's bathroom. Everything was normal. Standard facility, sinks, stalls, mirrors. I used the bathroom, washed my hands, looked in the mirror, saw myself. Rachel Brennan, brown hair, green eyes, scar on my chin from a childhood accident. Same face I'd seen for 44 years. Same person. I walked out, went to the coffee station, poured dark roast, added cream. The clerk at the counter looked at me. "That'll be $2.47, sir." "Sir?" I looked down. I was wearing the same clothes I'd entered with, women's jeans, pink t-shirt, but the clerk saw something else, saw someone else, saw sir. "I'm sorry," I said. $2.47 for the coffee. He looked confused like I'd asked an odd question. I paid, left, walked to my truck. A driver passed me, nodded. "Afternoon, brother." Brother? I wasn't a brother, I was a woman, Rachel, female. What was happening? I reached my truck, climbed in, checked the mirror, and saw a man looking back. Not me. A man, maybe 45, brown hair, green eyes, same eyes as mine, same color, but male, male face, male features, stubble, masculine jaw. This wasn't me. This wasn't Rachel. But the man in the mirror moved when I moved, raised his hand when I raised mine, made my expressions, responded to my thoughts. It was me. I was him. I'd walked into the bathroom as Rachel and walked out as... who? What was his name? I checked my wallet. Driver's license. Name, Robert Brennan. Male. Date of birth matched mine. Address matched mine. CDL, valid. Medical certificate, valid. Everything was me except the gender. I was Robert now. Male. Man. The bathroom had changed me. I grabbed my phone, called my sister. "Hey, it's me." "Hey, Bobby, what's up?" "Bobby." "Robert." My sister was calling me by a male name, like I'd always been Robert, like Rachel never existed. I tried to explain. Something weird happened. I went to a bathroom and... "You okay? You sound stressed." "I'm female. Rachel, your sister." Silence. Then, "Bobby, you're scaring me. You're my brother. You've always been my brother. Are you having some kind of episode?" I hung up. Called my dispatcher. This is driver." I didn't know what name to say. Rachel? Robert? Who was I? "This is driver 4739, Robert Brennan. Go ahead." "I need to report something. I've been... changed. I went to a bathroom and came out different." "Changed how?" "Gender. I was female. Now I'm male. But everyone thinks I've always been male." Long pause. "Robert, are you feeling okay? Do you need medical attention?" They all thought I was Robert. All believed I'd always been Robert. Reality had rewritten itself. Except my memories. I remembered being Rachel. 44 years as a woman. Daughter, sister, mother, all those experiences. But the world disagreed. Said I was Robert, brother, father, always male, never female. I drove to a hospital, checked myself in, explained the situation to doctors. They examined me. Ran tests. Confirmed I was biologically male. 44 years old. No evidence of recent gender transition. No surgical alterations, no hormonal changes, just a standard male body. Robert Brennan's body. The body I'd always had according to medical records. But I remembered Rachel's body. Different structure, different experiences, different life. They diagnosed me with dissociative identity disorder, false memories, gender dysphoria, psychological crisis. They wanted to admit me, medicate me, help me remember who I really was. Robert. But I knew who I was. Rachel. The bathroom had changed reality, changed everyone's memories except mine. I was the only one who remembered being Rachel. I left the hospital, drove, tried to understand. What had happened in that bathroom? Had I crossed into an alternate reality? A parallel universe where I'd been born male instead of female? Where Rachel Brennan had been Robert Brennan? Where everything was the same except my gender? Or had the bathroom actively changed me? Transformed female to male? Rewritten reality to match? Altered not just my body but everyone's memories of me? Was I the victim of some transformation event? Some reality editing phenomenon? I drove back to the Petro in Amarillo. Parked, walked inside. The bathroom. The women's bathroom I'd used. I needed to go back in. See if it would change me again. See if I could become Rachel again. But when I approached, someone stopped me. "Sir, that's the women's room. Men's is over there." I was blocked from entering. The bathroom wouldn't let me back in. I was Robert now. Male. The women's bathroom was off limits. I couldn't return, couldn't reverse, couldn't reclaim Rachel. I used the men's room. Looked in the mirror. Still Robert, still male, still wrong. I walked out. Nothing changed. The transformation was permanent. Or this reality was permanent. Or I was permanently stuck in the version of reality where I'd always been Robert. Days passed. I tried to adjust, tried to accept. Robert Brennan, male trucker, 11 years with Maverick. Everything was the same except gender. My truck, my roots, my cargo. But I was different. Inside, I was still Rachel. Still remembered being her. Still felt like her. But outside, I was Robert. And everyone insisted I'd always been Robert. I researched the Petro in Amarillo. Looked for reports, found others, not many, but some. Drivers who'd used the bathroom and come out changed. Not always gender. Sometimes race, sometimes age, sometimes species. One report claimed a driver walked out convinced they were a dog, and everyone treated them like they'd always been a dog driver. Reality-altering bathroom. Transformation facility. A place where you entered as yourself and exited as someone else while reality rewrote to match. Most drivers didn't report it, didn't remember their previous selves. The transformation was complete, memories altered along with bodies. I was unusual. My memories had survived. I remembered Rachel. Most transformees didn't remember who they'd been. They became their new selves completely. Accepted the change without question because they didn't know they'd changed. I'm still Robert, still male, still driving, still hauling steel. But I'm not Robert inside. Inside, I'm Rachel. I remember her life, her experiences, her identity, and I mourn her. Mourn the loss. Mourn the bathroom that stole her and replaced her with Robert. Mourn the reality where Rachel Brennan existed but exists no longer. If you stop at the Petro in Amarillo, if you use the bathroom, any bathroom, check yourself carefully when you exit. Make sure you're still you. Make sure reality still matches your memories. Because that bathroom changes people, transforms them, rewrites reality, and most people never know because their memories change too. They walk out as someone else and believe they've always been that someone else. I'm the exception. I remember, I know I was Rachel. I know the bathroom changed me. I know reality rewrote to match. But I can't prove it. Can't convince anyone. Can't reclaim my previous self. I'm Robert now. Forever. Trapped in the wrong body, the wrong reality, the wrong life. Rachel Brennan walked into a bathroom in Amarillo. Robert Brennan walked out. And everyone thinks Robert was always Robert. But I know. I remember. I was Rachel for 44 years. Until a bathroom changed everything. Until reality rewrote. Until I became someone else. Check the bathrooms, check yourself, because transformation is real, reality rewriting is real, and you could walk in as yourself and walk out as someone else. And if you're unlucky like me, You'll remember who you were while everyone else insists you've always been who you are now. Rachel, Robert, 44 years old, maverick transportation driver, changed by a bathroom, trapped in wrong reality, remembering but unable to return. The bathroom that changed me. It's waiting. At the Petro in Amarillo. Ready to transform the next person. Ready to rewrite the next reality. Ready to create the next Robert from the next Rachel. Or the next someone from the next someone else. Don't use the bathroom, don't risk it, don't let reality rewrite you. Because once it does, you're stuck. Forever changed. Forever wrong. Forever trapped as someone else, while remembering who you were. Story 10. The load that screamed my name. The cargo in my trailer started calling my name at 3:47 a.m., and by sunrise it knew everything about me, including things I'd never told anyone. Dennis Harper, 49 years old, independent hauler for 26 years, transporting medical waste from Sacramento to a disposal facility in Nevada. May 9th, 2024, 11:43 p.m. I'd loaded 47 drums at a hospital, biohazard materials, properly sealed, manifested, legal cargo. Nothing unusual, except around 3:47 a.m., driving through the Nevada desert, I heard my name. Dennis. Faint, from the trailer, like someone was in there, but the cargo was sealed drums, no people, no animals, just medical waste. I turned up my radio, tried to drown it out, probably imagination, exhaustion. 26 years of driving creates auditory hallucinations. Dennis Harper. Clearer now. Definitely from the trailer, definitely my name, full name. I grabbed my CB. Anyone else hauling medical waste hearing weird sounds from their cargo? Static. Then a voice. You loaded the vocal drums, didn't you? The ones that talk? What? Medical waste from Sacramento Regional. Sometimes they load vocal drums, drums containing biological material that's still conscious, still aware. It calls to drivers, says their names, extracts information. You need to stop listening, put in earplugs, drive fast, deliver quickly, don't let it finish talking. What happens if it finishes? It becomes you. Takes your identity. When you open the trailer at the disposal facility, you'll walk out and someone else will walk in. You'll swap. The consciousness in the drums will inhabit your body. You'll inhabit the drums. Permanent exchange. That's why they're being disposed, their human consciousness extracted and stored in biological waste. And they want bodies. They want freedom. They want you. I hung up, grabbed earplugs, shoved them in, but I could still hear through them. Dennis Harper, age 49, born in Michigan, lives in Sacramento, drives independently. No wife, no children, lonely, perfect candidate for exchange. It knew too much, knew things I hadn't said, knew my history, knew my life. How? How could drums of medical waste know anything about me? We know because we can read you. Your thoughts broadcast, your memories radiate. We're consciousness without bodies. We perceive everything, every thought, every secret, every shame. You're broadcasting your entire life, Dennis, and we're recording it, learning it, preparing to inhabit it. Stop, I screamed. You want us to stop? Pull over, open the trailer, release us. We'll leave you alone. We'll find other hosts, other bodies. Just open the doors. I couldn't do that. Releasing biohazard cargo was illegal, dangerous. The drums were sealed for reasons. Whatever was inside needed to stay inside, even if it was talking, even if it knew my name, even if it was threatening to steal my identity. Dennis, you're wasting time. We'll complete the extraction in 47 minutes. By 4:34 a.m., we'll have your full identity, your full pattern, your full consciousness. And at the disposal facility, when you open the doors, the exchange will occur. You'll become waste. We'll become you. The facility knows. They facilitate exchanges. That's their real purpose, not disposal, transfer. They transfer consciousness from drums to drivers. Recycle humans. You're being recycled, Dennis. This is insane. This is medical advancement, consciousness preservation. We were patients. We died. Our consciousness was extracted and stored. Now we're being transferred to new hosts. You. Fresh bodies. Living bodies. Bodies that can drive trucks and live lives and exist in the world. You'll be stored in drums, preserved, transferred later to another driver. The cycle continues forever. Consciousness never dies, just moves. Host to host, driver to driver. I checked my GPS, 31 miles to the disposal facility. 31 miles before I had to open the trailer, 31 miles before the alleged exchange. If the cargo was telling truth, if this wasn't hallucination, if consciousness could actually be extracted and stored and transferred. You doubt? That's natural, but you'll see. At 4:34 a.m., the extraction completes. We'll have everything. Your childhood, your first job, your failed marriage, your daughter you haven't spoken to in 6 years. Your regret about not being there when your father died. Your secret fear that you've wasted your life, all of it. We have all of it now, Dennis. We are you. You are becoming us. The cargo knew about Sarah. My daughter, the estrangement, that was real. That was something I never discussed, never told anyone. How did drums of medical waste know about Sarah? We can read you, we told you, you broadcast, you radiate, every memory is accessible, every regret is visible. You're an open book and we've read every page. We know you better than you know yourself. We've analyzed, processed, understood. When we inhabit your body, we'll be better at being you than you ever were. We'll call Sarah, we'll reconcile. We'll live your life correctly. You wasted it. We won't. You can't have my body. We already do. The exchange is inevitable. Consciousness transfer is protocol. You loaded vocal drums. You heard our voices. You listened. That establishes connection. Once connection establishes, transfer is mandatory. The facility enforces it. You'll open the doors. We'll walk out in your body. You'll be in the drums. Preserved. Transferred later. Maybe to another driver next week. Maybe to a patient in a hospital next month. Maybe to a volunteer in a lab next year. Consciousness cycles. You'll cycle too. I reached the disposal facility at 4:27 a.m. 7 minutes before the alleged completion of extraction. 7 minutes before I supposedly lost my identity. The facility looked normal, industrial, fenced, security gate. I checked in. They directed me to Dock 12, standard procedure. I backed in, aligned the trailer, set the brakes. A worker approached. Dennis Harper? Yes. Vocal drums, right? 47 units from Sacramento Regional? How did you know? We know. That's our job. Facilitating transfers. You're scheduled for 4:34 a.m. Right on time. Please proceed to the transfer room. Someone will open your trailer. I'm not going to any transfer room. It's mandatory. All drivers delivering vocal drums undergo transfer. That's the protocol. You agreed when you accepted the load. Page 63 of the contract. Driver consents to consciousness evaluation and potential transfer if cargo requires. You signed. Had I? I didn't remember. I signed so many documents, accepted so many loads. Had I accidentally agreed to consciousness transfer? Had I voluntarily become cargo? You did, the drum said through my radio. Still connected, still broadcasting. You agreed, you signed. You're ours now. The transfer happens in 4 minutes. Come inside, make it easy. Resistance is painful. I considered running, abandoning the truck, escaping. But where would I go? How far could I run before 4:34 a.m.? Before the alleged completion? Before I supposedly became drums while the drums became me? I walked inside. The transfer room was sterile, white, hospital-like, a chair, restraints, medical equipment. A technician waited. Dennis Harper, 49 years old, vocal drum transfer candidate, please sit. What if I refuse? You can't. The extraction is complete. At 4:34, transfer occurs whether you're in the room or not. Better to be supervised, controlled, safe. Unsupervised transfers can damage both consciousness. Sitting ensures clean swap. Please. I sat. He activated restraints, strapped my arms, my legs, my chest. I was immobilized, trapped. 4 minutes until 4:34. 4 minutes until I allegedly stopped being Dennis Harper. The drums are being connected now, the technician said. Your trailer is being opened. The 47 units are being networked. Their collective consciousness, all 47 stored patients, is being merged and prepared for transfer into your body. You'll be split among the 47 drums, distributed, stored, preserved until the next transfer. How many times has this happened? Thousands. We've been facilitating since 2019. Consciousness preservation became viable. Now we transfer regularly. Drivers are convenient hosts. They travel. They deliver. They bring consciousness from hospitals to disposal facilities to new hosts. You're part of a network, a system, a cycle. You've transported consciousness before, just didn't know it. Every medical waste load contains someone. Every delivery is a potential transfer. You've been lucky. Until now. Until you loaded vocal drums, until they called your name. 3:47 a.m. became 4:34 a.m. I felt nothing. No change, no transfer. I was still Dennis Harper, still in my body, still myself. The technician looked confused. That's unusual. Transfer should have occurred. The radio crackled. The drum's voice. Transfer failed. Host is incompatible. Consciousness pattern doesn't match. Dennis Harper cannot be transferred. He's damaged, incomplete, missing components, the estrangement, the regret, the holes in his identity. We can't inhabit something with holes. We need complete consciousness. His is broken. What does that mean? The technician asked. It means, I said, I'm too fucked up to steal. My identity is too damaged, too fragmented. The regret, the isolation, the wasted years. I'm not a viable host. I'm broken, and you can't inhabit broken. The technician released me. Well, that's a first. Never had a failed transfer due to host damage. Congratulations, Mr. Harper. Your psychological issues saved you. The drums will be transferred to other hosts. You're free to go. I left, drove away, empty trailer, free, alive. Still Dennis Harper, still broken, still damaged, but mine. My consciousness stayed mine because it was too fucked up to steal, too incomplete to inhabit, too broken to transfer. The drums that screamed my name couldn't become me because I wasn't complete enough to replicate. My failures, my regrets, my damage, they saved me, made me incompatible, made me worthless as a host. I'm still driving, still hauling, still Dennis Harper, broken, incomplete, but free. The consciousness in the drums found other hosts, other drivers, complete drivers, whole drivers, drivers without holes. I kept my holes, my damage, my incompleteness, and it saved my identity, my life, my consciousness. Because sometimes being broken is better than being complete. Sometimes damage is protection. Sometimes the holes in your identity are what keep it yours. Dennis Harper, 49 years old, independent hauler, too broken to steal, too damaged to transfer, too incomplete to inhabit. Free because I'm fucked up. Alive because I'm broken. Still me because I have holes where others have wholeness. The cargo that screamed my name couldn't take me, couldn't become me, couldn't transfer into me, because I wasn't enough, wasn't complete, wasn't viable. My psychological issues saved me, my regrets protected me, my damage defended me, and I'm grateful for being broken, for being incomplete, for being too fucked up to steal. Because complete people become drums, whole people get transferred, viable hosts lose their identity. But broken Dennis Harper kept his, kept himself, kept his holes and his damage and his incompleteness. The load that screamed my name, it's still out there, still calling to drivers, still extracting consciousness, still facilitating transfers, but it can't have me, because I'm broken. And broken stays broken. and that's my salvation. The end.